What surprised you about sex after having it for the first time? How people would throw away their lives for that. I still don't know why they would. But like, why cheat on your spouse? Lose your license and have to change careers? Or just spend all your time occupied with obtaining it? That my core isn't as strong as I thought it was. The girl's mother trying to barge in. The door was blocked by a dresser and her gaze beamed into the room like the eye of Sauron. You shall not come. All the weird noises. Sorry. I don't know why I sound like a beached whale giving birth when I come. It's just my thing, I guess. How hard it was to keep your erection when you have to run upstairs and find a condom and then try to put it on really fast. I thought I'd feel him come inside me, but I didn't. Really tried focusing every time to see if I'd feel anything at all. But no. Oh yeah, and I can't finish with just penetration. That part was annoying. Fun but annoying. Most women, like 70%, need clitoral stimulation to reach orgasm. You are not an outlier. It is quite funny how our culture always fails to mention this, and it leads to a lot of women not coming and faking their orgasms to make men happy because they feel like they should be coming with penetration. Also, they might never come while with a partner because of this, as they never learn how to make her come, which contributes to the orgasm gap between men and women. Edit. Apparently the figure is closer to 90%. It was so warm in there. Holy. If I'm going to do more of this, I need to get in shape. Given all the joking about premature ejaculation, I was surprised with how long I lasted. I was surprised that although sex felt better, masturbation gets the climax much faster. Queefs. She wasn't a virgin. I was. I thought she was farting. I found that out when it happened again a week later, and she said, "You do know I'm not farting, right?" Full stop. I pretended I did and googled it afterwards. How difficult it was to climax in the presence of another person. I'd had almost a decade of practice only doing it when alone. Postscript. I got better. And I'm grateful to everyone who helped. How my life was exactly the same. I still cringe when I think back to 16-year-old me. Girl I had a crush on lost her virginity to a friend at a party. I wasn't there. And knowing that I had a crush on her, everyone was careful to keep that information away from me. When I found out, I took it personally. Noticed a bunch of not so nice stuff about her personality. And blamed it, to her face, on how she changed after losing her virginity. I lost mine a few years later. Nothing changed for me at all. I looked back and realized nothing had changed for her either. All that happened was my own jealousy forced my rose-tinted glasses away. And my crush was just a fickle infatuation that had little to do with who she was as a person. To this day, nearly 15 years later, it's still something I think about and feel embarrassed over. Usually late at night when I'm trying to sleep. For me, I think it was how natural it was. Like animal instincts kick in and your pelvis starts moving in whole new ways. Edit. I'm happy to think I probably made 4,000 plus people thrust their pelvis after reading my comment. It sounds like you have a good relationship with your instincts. I was like, damn, that is actually a lot of work. It made me understand Charles Barkley's quote when talking about NBA teams playing 3 nights in a row. I wouldn't even want to have sex 3 nights in a row. When you're younger, sex 3 nights in a row is easy. As you get older and have less energy, it gets harder and harder to fit 3 consecutive nights of sex around your wanking schedule. I knew that dicks got hard, but I didn't expect it to be that hard. And yet the tip is still nice and squishy. That was just something I discovered with my hands. Also, that penetration can feel good. When I experimented with my fingers or toys previous to having sex, it wasn't painful. But I didn't get any enjoyment out of it. After being penetrated with a real penis, I discovered it was actually very pleasurable. May the Reddit gods have mercy on your DMs. I thought that when he came, It would come shooting out like a fire hose or something. His pace quickened. Then his whole body tensed up. I braced myself for impact. But nothing like that happened. How exhausting it is. Veganus alike. Super warm inside. My first time was somewhat late in life. I was 24. She was aware I was a virgin and I guess I'd have to describe it as her guiding me. My surprise was how great it was and how big of an ego boost it was. I'd watched PRN but didn't expect it to be like that, so I didn't really have any misconceptions. We just clicked really well and everything went smoothly. I got a boost in confidence and it felt like a relief in a way. For me, I had waited to be with the right woman. I had opportunities with women in the past but knew they wouldn't work long term, not religious or anything. Just knew what I wanted. She and I are married now. Almost 10 years. And I wouldn't change a thing. That it wasn't some life-changing event. I didn't feel any difference afterwards. I remember when one of my good friends in high school lost their virginity. Everybody in our friend group was praising him and he was acting all grown up, and I wanted to tell them I had got some too, but it was one of their sisters. How shallow people can be. It was with one of my closest friends at the time and they never spoke to me again. Needing my asthma inhaler. That I was not pregnant as my public school sex ed had implied I would be. I was worried after my first time. 2 months drifted by without even the slightest sign of my period. Then remembered I'm a dude. Condoms taste like. Especially if your partner just performed an L on you right beforehand. How easy it is for someone not to care afterwards. That apparently I have a condition known as delayed ejaculation or edejaculation. Simply put, it is very difficult for me to have an orgasm during sex. I just kind of keep going at it for a long time. You would think that would be a good thing. Women complain about men not lasting long enough, etc. Instead, my first partner, an older and more experienced girl, literally stormed out of my dorm room in a fit of rage because I clearly wasn't interested in her and definitely not a virgin. Both of which I was until then. She came. Vigorously and loudly. Needless to say, I had little to do with it. But that was a physical reaction I had never witnessed. And couldn't explain at the moment. Foreplay was awesome. Everything was exciting even if the dude was bad at it. Being touched in any way was so stimulating because it never happened. The actual act though, I didn't feel anything. It like I didn't have anything in there. It was disappointing. Edit. Because of the discussion around this, I have to point out that this had nothing to do with the guy, his size, or about what he did or did not do. It was more about me than him. Most girls complain about pain in the first time, but with me it was the opposite. After that everything went normal and I could enjoy it. Even if we were doing the same thing. I was surprised someone wanted to sleep with me. Men are completely different people when they finish. Post-nut clarity. Obligatory edit. My most liked comment is about coming. That penises were so big. But it turns out in hindsight that he just had a really big penis. How badly girls want to have it too. Well, I waited 19 years to get nailed in the back of some dude's car next to his piles of dirty laundry. It felt like nothing. Absolutely no pleasure for me. But I did discover that I am very allergic to latex. That was a big surprise. The attraction to the other person that it left behind. The girl who I lost my virginity to really wanted to have sex because she was a year older. Super horny. And wanted to a younger guy, and I happened to be her cup of timid, innocent water. And my god, did she ever the living out of me when we were together, but she wasn't in it for anything more or less. She knew the name of the game and I didn't because she was my first. And it genuinely hurt to know that she didn't care to be with me the way I wanted to be with her. I knew what flings and FWB were, but contrary to how well aware of them I was, I still felt more and I just wanted to be around her. And in retrospect, There wasn't much about her to stick around for. We had little in common. We were so different as people. It was just SX brain working its magic. There could be nothing there, but SX will make you think there's something there because that's what SX does. SX is magic to virgins and a circuit breaker to veterans. That my erection lasts longer when I hold my breath. It didn't hurt like I'd expected. I was a little sore. But it wasn't the "oh god I'm dying" that's so often portrayed in movies. Also, how easy and relaxed it was. I have generalized anxiety, so pretty much everything is stressful to some degree. But giving up my virginity was very comfortable. Where the vagina hole is, it was a lot lower down than I expected. I can remember foreplay with my ex. This was years ago when I was a teen. The night before, and I was like rubbing her groin kind of area where a dude's dick would be with my hands, thinking it would be turning her on. I'd watched PRN before but never thought about it. Eventually she showed me and I was quite embarrassed. Didn't matter though, had SX and lost my virginity. Semicolon. The first time I had SX I could hardly get it up and it was kind of awkward and I was really nervous. But the first time I had SX that I was really comfortable and actually got off and all. I was so stoked. It was like, whoa dude. This is yike. That it was as good as I expected. Everyone used to tell me it's not as good as you'd think. But it was. Maybe the key is having lowered expectations. As a man, the top of my thighs and hip area were super sore the next day from all that missionary thrusting. Semicolon. Also, I came 3 times the first time I had SX. Never happened since. The hole is lower than you think it is. The act of having SX isn't as mind-blowing as I thought. The whole process of waiting for a partner to put on a condom while they're just there like or. My girlfriend fell asleep while I was losing my virginity. So yeah. Definitely a surprise. Edit. Yes. We were both quite drunk. Obviously. I stopped when I saw her eyes were closing and she just wanted to go to bed. She actually made it up to me afterwards and our SX life was pretty damn hot for as long. No, I did not marry her. Boo-hoo. Was it your girlfriend you were losing your virginity with, or did she just happen to be falling asleep separately at the time of the incident? It wasn't as stimulating as I thought. But maybe that's because I was masturbating with a death grip. It was a little difficult keeping a boner because I wasn't feeling much. It was still a good time. Definitely surreal as I imagine a lot of people would feel going through their first time. However, ever since that and the time after, the times I've had SX have been great. Hard to explain. Maybe it's a calibration kind of concept. I think it was how amazing it felt when he first entered me. I had been masturbating for years already and I knew how it felt to have something phallic inside me. But geez. It was pretty nice. And also how powerful I felt because his face in that moment was like I had his soul. LMAO. Edit. This is so great. I didn't think my comment would get so popular. Lol. Edit 2. Damn. My first award. Thanks. Edit 3. 2 awards. Holy. Thanks guys. I didn't bleed and it wasn't that painful. I was always made to believe I was gonna bleed when I lost my virginity, but it never happened. The actual feeling of it going in. I wasn't bad at it. Years of masturbation edging. That she didn't have change for a 50. I'm just a virgin wondering what I'm missing and what I'm not, lol. Overthinking makes your penis soft. It was a long time ago. But I remember it as being not nearly as big a thing as I'd always imagined it would be. It was with my first boyfriend. We liked each other. Were comfortable with each other. Had fooled around a lot. And had talked about SX. I did not feel pressured at all. I wanted to do it. I wasn't nervous. It wasn't bad. It didn't hurt. It wasn't traumatic. It wasn't particularly pleasurable or exciting either. Afterwards, we went for lunch. I didn't feel at all different. Nor did I feel differently towards him. Not nearly as big a thing as I'd always imagined it would be. F for my dude. How animalistic it feels, lol, like I was having an out-of-body experience or something. Like I remember thinking that I felt a way that I hadn't felt before and it felt primal. I guess I had the opposite experience as a lot of women here, but I was surprised at how much it hurt. Like holy, it was painful. And afterwards when we turned on the lights there was blood everywhere. It still hurt a little the second time but thankfully stopped after that. Still took a handful of times before it actively started feeling good though. Giving pleasure can be way better than the one receiving pleasure. My time to shine. I learned I should relax my hoo-ha's muscles. I clenched too tight and I had a frickin' vaginal tear and bled myself unconscious. Woke up. Called my mom and was rushed to the hospital after she saw blood all over my bathroom. I was sure I could stop it by myself. Had my first surgery ever and everyone, dude's family and mine, knew we lost our virginity. That was fun. Edit. Cool. My first ever award. Thanks. I expected it to be a complex tango of delights, where two people express their desires in a beautiful exchange of finely calculated touches. In fact, sex is fleshy, sweaty, hairy and easy. That sex is great. But being about to act out fantasies and give oral while doing that. That was where the mind-blowing orgasm came from. Also, sex doesn't last 30 minutes. The best sex I've had with my wife was 5 minutes tops and it was so good we passed out. Quality over quantity. That I had sex. God didn't smite me. My life continued on pleasantly even though I'd had premarital sex. Yay. Wait. When was your first time? Was it January? If so, he might be smiting us all because of you. As a woman. Why is my vagina making so many squishy sounds? Was that a vagina fart? Who decided putting our mouths where people pee is a good idea? I am all about oral sex. As a guy, it is amazing to go down on a woman and I have always felt that way. But my first time going down on a girl was after a 16-hour flight and the flavor was not good. It clouded my mind for a short time before I realized I was a dumbass for pushing it before letting us both shower. Nothing tastes good after that long on an airplane. That a shaved vagina was kind of coarse and a little more pokey than I had ever assumed. How dry my mouth was. How smoothly it was going. Prior to what I was led to believe. Losing your virginity in a fire bad listening to hair metal wasn't as awesome as people said. Okay, as a girl, I was terrified of being on top BC. I thought that penetration would hurt. And I wanted the guy to be on top controlling it. BC, I can handle pain better if someone else is doing it versus myself. I also didn't know how TF I was supposed to ride a dick. I honestly still don't know. I just bounce on my knees a little. I thought riding was the guy doing the action, not the girl, however. When I lost my virginity to my now husband, and even today, I quickly figured out that me on top is the only position we can do. BC, his belly gets in the way of everything else. Also, that first penetration did not hurt like I've always heard. It might be BC I'd already used a vibrator and he wasn't all the way up. BC, he was nervous. But still. This reads like a Mormon's diary. Huh. That's it? It's probably just me. But, as a teenager, I really wanted to do it all the way, like most people my age. However, I ended up liking foreplay a lot more than doing it. When I was 16 years old, I got much more pleasure at fingering my girlfriend and touching her boobs while she gave me hand blowjobs than when I stuck my penis in her vagina. Funnily enough, I started to really enjoy the whole package when I did it with a friend with benefits. Later, when I was 18 years old, I never thought about where the semen went after you come inside of a woman, so I was kinda surprised when I pulled out and the mattress got wet. That I didn't actually want to do it with guys anymore, that my desire for dudes had been rooted in a curiosity about what sex would feel like. And once that curiosity was sated, latent lesbianism was like. So, funny story. How much we, my GF, someone else's sister, and I, didn't care. At 15. That others could likely hear us outside the tent in a very public campground at breakfast time. We had our first time while my parents went to shower. Edit. Because Reddit. The hole is far lower than I expected and it just felt like putting your dick in a warm apple strudel. Not that I know how that feels. We have an Austrian German over here. As a woman, all the blood afterwards. I bleed a lot and TBH it kinda scared me. Funny enough, my first time my partner had blacklights in his room. When he pulled out, the blood was apparent on him, but it was weird because blood had gotten in different spots but the source wasn't obvious. Turned out my ears are sensitive. I just about jumped out of my skin the first time a girl licked and nibbled my ear. Also, wasn't prepared for how messy, sticky, wet, juicy sex is. PRN had not prepared me for all the fluids and tactile grossness. Got over it quick though. I realized that 18 years of anticipation and hype had led to what's basically cardio with extra steps. It was new and interesting. But not the end all be all of human existence, as Ferris Bueller puts it. Why the hell were my eyes twitching so much? What the hell was it all about? How absolutely, mind-blowingly anticlimactic it was. And not in the she didn't get hers way. But honestly, the way it's depicted in movies and the way people talk about it. I thought my life would change. It didn't. We literally just cleaned up and went about our day. No fireworks. No deeper bond between us. Nothing more than the feeling of having done the deed. Edit. Well, this blew up. I did not expect so many people to have similar experiences, lol. That I was gay. That you can still do it even if both of your arms are broken. I was extremely confused because my partner's clitoris could not penetrate my butthole. The yogurt that came out tasted funny. I didn't know there was any consequences. Look at my username. I never realized that sex could be so tender. I thought that movies were exaggerating everything, but losing my virginity with my long-term boyfriend was such an emotional experience that I felt different for days. We spent a lot of time just kissing and touching each other and making the other person laugh. But something about it just affected me on an almost spiritual level, and I've never felt anything like that since. It was lovely. The orgasm snuck up on me and she had no idea I'd finished. I thought she'd feel it. How much fun it was. How overrated and overhyped it is. Couldn't agree more. I spent my teenage years watching teen sex comedies like American Pie and thought sex was the end all be all in life. I thought I was going to be transported into another dimension of bliss and pleasure. After 3-4 times I was like, is this really it? First time I actually didn't enjoy the experience. It was more of a let's get this over with at the age of 19 with a guy who smelled like constantly and never washed his dick, so I quickly learned what yeast infections were like. I didn't realize how dirty he was until I moved in with him and had to argue with him about showering constantly. I also had a very painful first experience and got blood everywhere. It soaked through the sheets and stained the mattress. Whoops. I felt like somebody was stabbing me, literally. Lol, and I wanted it to be over the second it started. Sex now is just meh. I will say it is much better with my second partner whom I shower with daily. No infections, hurrah. But it's never anything I crave or get overly excited for. It's just meh. Cake is definitely better than sex and I don't like cake that much. I wasn't surprised immediately after. But I assumed sex with Up's mom was pretty brag-worthy. I was surprised when I found out pretty much everyone does it. It's a rite of passage. It was and still is addictive. How long I cried afterwards. I was surprised how amazing foreplay felt. The initial penetration was painful, but his thrusts remained slow and gentle until I was able to take him fully inside of me. It was a wonderful sweet pain. The fullness of him inside of me was just the most satisfying feeling. The contact of our naked skin together. The intimacy of the closeness between us was heavenly. I loved it. I was nervous during foreplay because I was experiencing an orgasm for the first time, and when my toes and legs started to tingle and the rush of lightheadedness kinda freaked me out. I just couldn't believe how great the experience was. Goddamn. That comment just turned me into a horny mess while my boyfriend is busy talking to a friend about his iron work. My first couple times he couldn't penetrate me because it hurt really bad and I was terrified. When he finally did, I bled a ton. I just remember watching the blood pool in my hand and just felt very numb. My parents are very religious and I didn't know what to do, so I stuffed myself with toilet paper and walked around with dry blood until I could shower. Pretty terrible. The fact that it didn't hurt and I didn't bleed like I heard about